Okay, everybody. This is Cadd 212 on Monday, November 9th. This is a review class. What we're going to go over today real quick, just as a refresher, is how to create a dormer. We'll do standing seam metal roofs, and then we'll open the floor up to anyone who has any questions. So to get started, we'll go ahead and jump into dormers, how to create those. So what we're going to do is we'll just add one central dormer on the top of this roof right here. The first thing I want to do is I want to go to one of my elevation views. I'll just go to my south view. It doesn't matter which one you start with, I'm just using the south view. And I want to add a couple of elevation markers. So I'm going to go to my architecture tab, my data panel, and I'm going to use my level tool and add a couple of levels. Now I'm going to add a level for the bottom of the dormer and the top of the dormer. So I'm just kind of randomly putting it somewhere so it lands within the roof right now, but I'm making sure that that location line is active so all of my levels work together. And then I'll just add one here because I can change the height of these when I need to. So I've added my two levels. In order to keep things clear and consistent, I'm going to change the name of these to dormer bottom and dormer top. Do I want this to be renamed in all corresponding views? Yes, I want this populated throughout the rest of the model. Same thing for this top one, so I'll do dormer top. Yes, I want this populated throughout the rest. This way, when we have our different views, they are listed and they are consistent throughout the entire model. Next thing I want to do is I want to create my walls for the dormer. I'm going to go ahead and drop to my dormer bottom level. I've got something that looks like this. And I'm going to go to architecture tab. I'm going to go to my wall tool. I'm just going to use this generic brick to start so it kind of stands out a little different from that other one. So I'll click on that brick wall. And at this point, I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily start drawing my walls. Do 10 foot. So I've got a simple wall piece. Remember, I don't want to close this off over here because it's a dormer. I want this to have access to the interior. So there's no back wall that's going to be created here. It's just the three walls at this point. So let's jump to 3D and see what I did. So I've got something that kind of looks like this. A couple of things that we want to look at here. If we turn it sideways, remember that when we put in this dormer bottom level, we didn't pay attention to the height of it or the depth of it where we started to draw these. The main thing that you want to remember that for creating a dormer is that the dormer itself obviously has to be placed within the roof system. This would not work. We would not have anything that looks like this. So there's a couple of things we can do with that. We can actually, since this is a big house, we could move this back so it's further within the roof itself, or we could actually change the height of this level. Let's change it to 25 feet and see where that, and that will drop us nicely within that roof level. So we have something that looks like that. Also, we have these walls over here. If we highlight these walls and take a look at the properties, it is set to an unconnected height of 20 feet. So these walls are just kind of hanging out, you know, really high. There's a few things that we can do to change that. We can change the height over here to like 10 feet or whatever, but we're actually going to do it a different way. I think that this is too high for a dormer, so I'm actually going to change the height of this level to, let's do 36 feet. And once again, I'm just picking these sizes arbitrarily. If you were working with someone, you would actually have these set to the exact dimensions that you would need it to be. So now we have something that kind of looks like that. So let's take a closer look at some of these floor plans. So I'm going to go to dormer bottom, and here we have my dormer walls here. I'm going to go to dormer top, and I have my walls here as well. So at this point on my dormer top, I'm going to go ahead and create that roof. I want a gable roof. So I'm going to go to my architecture tab, build panel roof tool, default roof tool. I'm going to have a 2-foot overhang on each side with a slope on each side. I don't want to slope in the front or the back, so at this time I'm going to turn off my define slope and finish that front one there. I'm going to draw this last back roof section because remember I don't have a wall to pick from now, so I'm going to have to draw this last part. So I'm just going to come in here and draw it right there. I'm going to use my trim corner tool to trim off those extraneous ends. Now I have a closed set of geometry. I'm going to hit my green check mark, and I'm just going to put don't attach for now, and we'll talk about that in a second. So let's go to 3D, see what happened. Cool. Got something that looks like this. It's coming together rather well. Let's take a look at a side view. We can fix these walls in a minute. But the next thing we want to do is I want to join this roof to this roof. So I'm going to come to an angle view, and I want to have access to the back part of that roof. So I can see that here to this roof here. So at this point, I'm going to go to Modify tab. Modify tab to my Join Roof tool. I'm going to click on the roof that I want to be joined to the roof I want to join to, and that will pull that together. So now our roofs are joined. We've got our walls that are kind of sticking up through our roof. That's okay. And we have this nice gap here. So a couple things we need to do. I need to adjust these walls back so they're encapsulated in the side of this roof. A couple ways I can do that. I can go to my dormer top view and I can pull them back. I can do it in 3D. I'm just going to do that in 3D for now. So I'm going to click on this wall, make it active. Here I have my directional arrow, and I'm just going to kind of pull it back till I know that wall is inside that roof of the building. I'm going to go ahead and flip this one around. And I'm going to do the same with this wall. Make sure those line up. Now I'm going to select these 3 walls, hold down the control, hit attach top to base, and connect those walls to this roof at this time. So you see that just kind of pulls it together like that. That pulls that together nicely. So now we have a nice little dormer inside this roof itself. The next thing I need to do is cut that opening within this roof itself in order for it to have, for people to have access to this space right here. Because if we just kind of come up here and hide this roof, you'll see there's still a roof in place, so it's not actually an open dormer. We need to open that. So how do we do that? We're going to go to Architecture tab. We're going to go to our Openings panel, and we're going to use our dormer tool. So we'll click on that, make it active. Click on the roof that you want the hole to be cut out of. We want it cut out of this main roof. Here it's going to say pick roof or wall edges. So this is where we pick the roof or wall edges around the dormer itself. When we kind of come over here, you'll see how they kind of highlight. So that's that side of the dormer, the front side, another side, and then the back edge, the roof edge. Now, sometimes if you hit the green check mark, it'll work. Other times, since you see that there are gaps within these spaces, sometimes it won't work. The safest thing to do at this time is to go ahead and use your trim corner tool. Oops, what did I do? Trim corner tool there and there. Once we have that closed, we can go ahead and hit our green check mark. And that will have cut that opening out. And now we can see inside the building itself. One thing that's a little off here is, notice once we did that, we still have this gap in this wall right here. We couldn't see it because the roof was in place, so I just want to make sure that we don't have anything like that. I'm just going to pull these walls back a little bit more to make sure that they're encapsulated within here. I'm going to spin this around. Oops. Now we'll do the same with this side. Much better. Now we'll go ahead and put that roof back in. And then we have our dormer. So we can't actually put a window at this level right here. So I'm going to go back to my dormer top view. I'm going to go to my window tool. Place that in that wall. Let me pick a smaller window. Maybe not that small. Okay, that looks ridiculous. Let's go ahead and highlight that and change that from dormer top to dormer bottom. And that looks a lot better. Once again, that window's a little small, but you can, the main thing is that you can use this to adjust that. Let's go ahead and highlight this window and maybe change that to a different type. Yeah, that's looking a little better. We could actually make this a little bigger if we needed to. We can use one of these. So that is how to add a dormer. Any questions on how to do that? Would you like me to redo it again? Any specific questions in the process? I'll go ahead and open it up to questions. No questions? Okay, cool. That's a pretty straightforward way to do the dormer. I'll get this video posted so you have access to it. And once again, it's just a matter of getting down the process. Next thing we'll do on this one is we'll go ahead and create a standing seam metal roof. We can use this same option. If you are doing this for your project, you'll want to go ahead and do your dormers first and then do the standing seam metal roof. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to a side view. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this roof. I just like using the side view because I like to use this peak here as a point of reference. At this time, I'm going to go to my Modify tab, and I'm going to go to my Copy tool. Actually, an easier way would be to select the roof and then go to the Copy tool. I'm going to go from this peak, and I'm going to drag right up to copy that. So that automatically created a copy of this roof, and it just brought it straight up from the origin point. I'm not necessarily worried about the height of it at this time. I just want to create a duplicate of this roof and have it in the same location. So with this roof copied, I'm going to go ahead and click on it, make it active. Go over to my properties, go to my type selector, and I'm going to drop down and select sloped glazing. Remember, this is what we use to create glass in our curtain walls. And at this point right now, you can see that I've changed the type of roof to a glass roof. This would be really nice if I was creating a greenhouse, but obviously a glass roof is not going to work here. So I need to go to my edit type. I will duplicate and rename, and I'll call this standing seam metal roof. I'll just do standing seam. My initials. Here it asks for the curtain panel. It's set to none, and I want to change this from glass to solid. For my grid 1 layout, I'm going to change this to, we can do number, we can do distance, kind of play with either one of those. Usually I just do distance. The basic distance is set to 5 feet. We can change that to whatever we want. We'll go ahead and just do 4 feet for that. And then we'll go down to my mullions. For the mullion type, you can use whichever one you want on here. Let's use the larger one. And hit OK. Let that process, and we have our roof that kind of turns out like that. That actually spaced things pretty nicely, especially on this one. Sometimes the spacing is a little off. How we can change that justification is with that still active. We can come down here to the grid, and where it says justification, it has beginning here. We can change that to center. It probably shouldn't change it that much because it's actually laid out pretty nicely. And at that point, we have our standing seam metal roof. It has our dormer hole cut out, which is why you want to do the dormer first. And it will come like that. It will make things a lot easier for you. At this point, the only thing we need to do is do the offset on this roof and drop it down so it's sitting actually kind of laying on top of the roof that we already have. So this is the structural roof, and this is the metal roof that sits on top of the structural roof. It's still active over here because I can see it in my properties. So if I scroll up, you see the base offset. This is set to base level 2, which is level 2 right here, and then I'm offset 18 feet up, which is not optimal. I should have like a 3rd level in here. Let me go ahead and change this to dormer bottom, and let's watch what happens. So I'm going to have my base level instead of level 2 with an 18-foot offset. I'm going to change this to dormer bottom. And no offset. Oops. All right, make that go away. Okay, yes, 0. Ooh, did I change it to dormer bottom? No, dormer bottom, thank you. There we go. So here you can see it's now attached to this, but I still have a bit of a gap here. At this point, from this, I want to offset this down. Let me try -6 inches. Could probably go negative, let's try -8. Ah, that looks really nice. And I placed it right on top of that other roof. Now we have something that looks like that. Looks pretty nice. All right, let me do that one more time for this front dormer right here, this dormer roof in the front. Same process. I'm going to go ahead and select this roof off of this dormer, and I'm going to copy it from that peak right there and go straight up. Doesn't matter how much for now, just go straight up there. What I want to do next is connect this little mini roof. Notice it duplicated the original roof, how it looked. It didn't correct the whole, copy the whole thing. So I still need to attach this little front roof part to the rest of the house. So in order to do that, remember we're going to go to our Modify tab and our Join Unjoin Roof tool. I'm going to click on the part of the roof that I want to join to the part that I want it joined to. Sometimes that's the hard part to find. There we go. So that's connected. Now notice it does look a little weird right here, but that's just only because it's raised. Once we finish the rest of this and lower it back, this will be corrected. So at this time with this roof active, I'm going to change that to my standing seam roof that I created. It'll change that to the roof pattern that looks like this. Notice it corrected that peak already. I also want to change that justification. Notice how these are kind of haphazard. So I'm going to change that justification back to center. It'll fix that so they're all lined up properly. I'm going to go to my front view, and I'm going to go ahead and, oops, let's make sure this is active. My base offset is this weird number here. Let me go ahead and make that base offset 4 inches and see where that lands me. Oop, too far down. Let's set that to 0. Going the wrong direction. -6 inches. Still the wrong direction, 1 foot. So you can see how accurate this is. 14 inches. There we go. Now I have that laying on top of there. Actually, it could come up a little more. Change it to 15 inches. Much better. Notice how I had it a little bit too low because the color of the roofs didn't match. Just the seams were coming through instead of the entire roof. So now it actually looks a lot better. So that is how we add our standing seam metal roof. Any questions about that? All right, I'll get this posted today with the standing seam metal roof and the dormer information posted. Next thing we'll do is open up the floor to any questions that you have, anything that anybody in class wants reviewed, and we can go ahead and go over those questions at this time. So questions besides what we've just reviewed?
I was struggling to make my topography look like how yours looked in the video from class. It just didn't seem like it was changing the elevation at all when I did it.
Okay, no worries. We'll go ahead and go over that now. So in order to do that, I can just continue from here, but I want to go to my site level. And remember, when we're adding our topography, we want to go to Massing and Site tab, and we use our Topo Surface tool. And at this point, we want to take a look in our options bar and at our elevation. So our elevation is set here. If we do like -3 feet down, and we just pop in some measurements, we'll go ahead and bring that back up to 0. And down to -5 feet again. And bring that up to 9 feet. And we'll hit our green check mark. And we'll go to 3D. Now we've got something weird that looks like this. So that's how we change the actual elevation on it. So if we go to, let's do that again. Let me go ahead and delete that. I'll go back to my site tab, topic surface tool, start with a 9-foot elevation. And drop down gradually. And our green check mark. Jump to 3D.
Sorry. How are you getting that like elevation bar to drop down? Because like when I go to that like area and I go to like topo surface and like the place points, like I don't have anything that like pops up like that.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should be in site level when you're doing this, and then when you go to topo surface, this options bar should pop up.
Okay. I think maybe I wasn't in sight. That might have been it. Thank you.
That may have been it. Also, if we cycle through here and this little button here, I don't think it gets rid of the options bar, but let's find out. It kind of cycles through these different options. No, it doesn't remove our options bar. But if you ever lose any of this stuff in your ribbon, you can come to this button right here and just kind of cycle through.
Okay.
But the options bar does stay in place. So you may not have been in the actual site level. Let me go ahead and just close that. Let's try it if we were in level 1. That's still going to add that. I'm not sure why that wasn't showing up. It should definitely show up if you're in site and you're using topo surface. But it's right here, topo surface and options.
Okay.
And you're going to change the elevation right here.
All right.
When
Thanks.
you start playing with it again, you know, let me know if we need to set up another time and meet one-on-one to work on that together and see what's going on. Maybe you have to share your screen so I can see what's going on.
All right. I'll try to review this and the other videos more and like re-upload things by Wednesday because.
Yeah, that's fine. Just get your work turned in when you get it done.
All right.
I can review that. I haven't had a chance to review anybody's work yet anyway, so it's okay.
Okay.
So let me
Yeah, I
go.
like turned in what I had so far, but thank you for explaining that.
Perfect. So since this site is kind of going throughout the building right now, there's a couple other things we need to do. Remember, we need to remove the site from the inside of the building. So I find it easiest to turn it over, click on that, make it active. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to go to split surface and make it active. And then I'm going to draw the geometry that I want around my slab. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So now I don't have a site within there. But I want to set all these points around this site to 0. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click on this site, make it active. I'm going to go to Edit Surface, and I'm going to select all the points around here. And I'm going to set those elevations to 0. And finish that. And remember, when I do that and I turn it over, that means that the building is now on a flat piece of land. Say I want to kind of come in and kind of bulldoze some of this site down so it's not right next to the building. That's water is going to be flushing into there. I can go ahead and still manipulate this site itself. So I'm just going to go to my top view. I'm going to select this topography. I'm going to go to Edit Surface. And say if I just wanted to highlight a couple of these different points on my site and change the elevations of those. I'll just change that to 0, see what happens. If I wanted to place new points with new elevations, I can add that as well. And as I do that, it's going to change that. And then when I close that and I come back here, you'll see that that actually does change the heights within the different pieces of my site. Say if I wanted to add like a small parking space in this area right here, I could use subregion for that. I'm going to go back to my site level to do that. And I'm going to use my subregion tool. And I'll use my rectangular tool. And I'll just draw that space. And in this area now, I'll just go ahead and I'll change my material to something that I already have active. I wanted to change it to lightweight concrete. I can do that at that time. And that way I have the place for my parking lot, and then you can continue on with the parking lot information. But for instance, if I don't like the location of this, since I just used a subregion, I can go ahead and click on that, make it active, and just delete that. And that one may have that go away, and I can do another one. If I did a split surface, it would have made like a big hole in this property now. So that's why sometimes it's nice to just use subregion. But there's different reasons for that, and to be recorded in the other class as well. Any other questions on that? Okay, y'all, if there's no other questions at this time, we'll go ahead and stop. I'll get this posted today. This will help you with a review of how to just create dormers, standing seam metal roof, and site elevations. If you need additional time, I'm available today and after my MEP class this evening. So just shoot me a text, and I'll get back to you today in order to get that organized. I know a couple of you had reached out earlier, and I just didn't have time over the weekend, so I do apologize for that. But we are available today and 4 times during the week. So just reach out to me with a text, and we can get that organized from there. No other questions, everybody?
I have a question about the other class.
About the other class?
Yeah, because I got work today and I can't.
Okay. Let me stop the recording.